Hi, I'm the founding editor of Blackbright News, and Blackbright News can be found at www.issuu.com/Blackbright News. It's a philanthropic publication that you can get free of charge, or you can give a donation if you want the hard copy. Today's topic is about age discrimination, and normally when I have a topic, it's inspired by something I've listened on the news or something I've heard someone say. And today it was about the 60s, people in their 60s and over being in a position where they feel vulnerable. And it's all to do with this extension of the pension that affects mostly single women. And we were thinking about what happens. The government has actually put this in place, and it's almost as though women are being punished for asking for liberation. It's almost like they're saying, well, this is what you wanted and this is what you're going to get. So we've got a lot of single women in their 60s who can't really get a job, because when you go for a job, they say they don't discriminate with the age and you don't have to put your age on the piece of paper. But what happens is when they look at the application form, and of course it's got when you work, when you qualified, in whatever year you went to school or whatever, they can work it out. If you say you left school in 1969, they know that you must be in your 60s. Or if you went in 1970 something, they can work it out. So they already know. And they've, because Britain is such an ageist society, I remember the days I used to see in the newspaper, and the column used to say at the back of the newspaper where they're advertising, between 21 and 35. 35 was the oldest person that could apply for the job. And they still have that mentality in a lot of ways. So even though we might not look our age in our 60s, it doesn't make any difference, because what happens is that as long as you're going for the application form, you have to, that you're going to go and be vetted, and they're going to say, look, they're going to take one look and see 60 and have this image of an old person who can hardly walk and who's tottering around the place, who's lost her marbles. And that's their image of somebody in their 60s. I went to the hospital the other day, and the guy was calling out the names, and he said, oh, would you like to, they called up the name, and I stood up, and they said, no, the lady is 64. And I said, yeah, that's me. And he's like, you're 64? You're 64? I can't believe you're 64. And he went on and on and on. Anyway, he's supposed to put a catheter in my arm to take my blood, so just in case I needed whatever they were going to feed through it. And he bloody misplaced it because he was so shocked that I was 64. And, they have this perception of what a 64-year-old or somebody in their 60s is supposed to look like. They're supposed to look, as though they're past their sell-by date, they're on the rubbish heap, they're not attractive, and these are the images they have of us. And because some of us defy that image, they extend the bloody pension age. It's absolutely ridiculous. I know a friend of mine, she's in her 60s, she went to the hospital. I have to laugh. She went to the hospital and they put her in a wheelchair, and she happened to turn around or do something to get something. And they said, oh, you're agile. I wouldn't think you're that agile and you're in your 60s. And it's just like, what is wrong with these people? And regardless of how they see people on the TV, growing older and looking better, they still can't get the image of what women, I have to talk about women because we're the ones that are being victimised and penalised, because we're the ones who have to work until we're beyond 66. A lot of them were so looking forward to retiring at 60, and we can't get a job. I'm fortunate, as I'd like to say, I'm really blessed, because I do have a job and I work for an organisation that will not kick me out when I reach 65 in September, unless, of course, they can show I'm not capable to work. But even that puts on a strain, because, you know, when you reach a certain age, when you reach retirement age, you're paranoid about being sick. You're paranoid about taking time off, because you don't want to give them any reason whatsoever to give you the boot. So you end up going to work even if you're sick, because you know that, you know, the Bradford scoring or whatever it is they use to work out how much time you have off is going to kick in. And it doesn't matter that if you were 35 and you were off sick for the same reason. The fact that you've actually reached that age, that is going to precipitate some kind of investigation. So you don't feel secure. You know what I mean? So it is difficult. And when I'm thinking about the age discrimination, I often tell my friends, you know, look, when you either have to start your own job or get a job through the agency. Thing with agency staff is that they'll take you on face value. Don't do it over the phone. You go in as you are. Now, if I went in to an agency and I went to apply for a job, they would be looking at me and thinking, okay, this woman is like in her 40s, 50s maybe. Okay, whatever she is, she looks kind of vivacious. She looks okay. And when I'm completing that form, they won't even take note of the age. And when they're referring me, they'll have my face and my image in their minds. So you can actually get through the back door. So providing you take care of yourself and you look good, all you've got to do is work from an agency. You actually get into the organisation. They take you on face value. They take in the fact that you can work well, you're really good at your job, and boom. But if you're waiting to get a job through the normal channels, you might as well forget it, because this age discrimination is rampant. I'm sure with the men, they have the same problem. I mean, sometimes you just have to be over 50 and you're on the dust heap, or the whatever they call it, the rubbish heap. So there's not much we can do about that. We can't change the mentality of people, or maybe we can if we make ourselves more visible and we just get out there. Because I know a lot of people, they've actually fallen into this thing where, because they're a certain age, they have to behave a certain way, they have to dress a certain way. And I know Britain is a country where you're kind of forced to conform, but you have to become a leader of change, and you have to change the image that they have and the perception they have, so that they no longer discriminate against age. It's important. It's our livelihood. It's our way out of poverty. If you go around looking like 60 and moaning and saying, oh, you know, oh, I don't know, I've got these aches and pains. If you've got aches and pains, keep them to your bloody self. Nobody wants to know, because they'll use it as an excuse against you. As long as they're not debilitating. And if they're debilitating, you can't work anyway. But we all have aches and pains, regardless of our age. So just try to keep positive outlook. We know that they discriminate, so just try to defy it. Okay, this is Blackbright News, and my name is Loy.